Hello again, opening this video on a slightly different shot than usual. I'm going to move on to the sword, and as I've mentioned, I'm going to paint it in NMM. And the DVD isn't much help. It doesn't tell me really anything I didn't already know. As far as one of the difficult parts of NMM, well, there's several difficult parts. One is the how you do the layering and blending, but apart from the brush technique, color choice is actually very important, and I feel I need some help with that because I'm still new to it. So I'm going the easy route, and I bought this ready-made paint set from Scale 75 Scale Colors, which has 8 different paints, and it has a little bit of instructions in it to help me. Let me unpack this and show you some. So there's a set of instructions here in 4 different languages for 2 different kinds of steel, just normal gray steel and more a bluish steel. I'm going to go for the grayish steel because that's the kind it seems more natural. And so the main colors are going to be the first 4 colors in the set, from SC1 to 4, white, NACAR, I don't know what that means, graphite, which is a mid-gray, and anthracite gray, which is a more dark gray. Graphite's going to be the base color, these 2 will be the highlights, this will be the shade, and for an extra shade they have in the instructions, an optional step, you can go all the way to abyssal blue for some really deep shading. And I think I'm going to need that. So these 5 colors will be used in the following painting. Oh, and by the way, here's a quick tip about these scale colors. When they come from the factory, you can't actually pour anything from them. They're sealed. They have it's solid plastic inside the nozzle. So you need to take something like a tack and poke a hole in it. There. Now you can get paint from it. Okay, so continuing with how to use scale colors, I've started putting on a base coat of the graphite here, and I want to show you what it looks like. On my palette, it sort of looks thick, but if I take just a little bit in my brush, like this, and paint it on carefully, you will see that it doesn't go on thick. It goes on very smooth and with a good deal of translucency. It's not extremely covering. This is definitely a painter's paint. It's a paint for layering, for glazing, and it's designed to be able to be used in airbrush as well. So this is probably going to take a couple of coats. I hope you can see that it is a very fine coat. And this is the other side that I've already done. Let's see if it's ready for a second coat. Yeah, it seems to be. Now, this could seem frustrating when base coating, but later on when layering, the fact that it has this translucency is actually really, really good. That's something you want. And I'm going to take the opportunity to hit this little stud here because I want this to be gray metallic, and the one on this side. I'm going to be painting these. I think those are the only 2 studs really here. The only parts that are going to be this color apart from the sword. So Yeah. You know what? You don't need to see me doing this more times, so I'll come back and tell you when I'm finished how many coats it took. And it's taking more. I mean, on a small surface like the studs, you could see that just one application actually covers it. The question is, do I want... No, never mind. But on a large flat surface like the sword blade, it's going to take a little bit more work. So I figured out what nacre means. There is an English word, nacre, N-A-C-R-E, which is another word for mother of pearl. And once I tested this paint, I discovered that it is this kind of somewhat pearlescent light gray. In fact, I'm not sure this is entirely non-metallic paint. I mean, it's almost like there's some mica flakes or something in it. I'm not sure. But anyway, I've mixed up a mixture of that and the base color, and I'm going to try to glaze in some highlights here. And you can see it's very thin. And what I'm going to do, well, I'll put on the first couple of highlights and then I'll explain. I'm not even sure these are visible because I'm going very I was conservative with a mix there. Now, when doing non-metallic metal, the basic idea is to have a really stark contrast between the highlights and the shades, because that will give you sort of the illusion of reflections as from metal. And so the question becomes, where do you place these highlights and shades exactly? The first time I tried doing non-metallic metal, I just did it as normal. I had a sword that the character was raising upward, and I just painted the lightest at the tip and shaded down to darkest at the base, the hilt of the sword. Simple. A bit too simple. That's not really enough. So the second time I tried it, not that long ago, I think you've seen it here on the channel, I painted a sword where I did, I don't know if there's a word for it, there's a technique you quite often see when people doing NMM, where they do it opposite directions on the two sides of the sword. Swords usually have like a raised area here on the middle of one side, so you got the two facets. And you'll do one facet running from dark, in this example, at the tip to light at the hilt, and you'll do the other one the opposite way, dark at the hilt to light at the tip. So you've got sort of crossing highlighting schemes. But on this model, I'm going for something even more complex than that. If you look at the illustration, they've done what I call a tripart highlight, where there's a highlight on this facet at the bottom and at the top and shade in the middle, and it's difficult to see from this angle, but on the other facet they've gone mirror image, light in the middle, dark at the tip, dark at the base. And so this is going to repeat around the four facets, that the highlighting pattern alternates. So when I flip it over and have the opposite side of this facet, it's going to be also the opposite way, and so forth. I hope you understand what I mean. And this requires a bit more work. And a bit more focus. I'm not sure if you can see that the highlights are starting to appear now. It's kind of... This is going to be a rather slow process. And I'm not sure there's a whole lot to talk about during it. Let's see. Okay, I've gone here and here. Am I in frame? Am I in focus? I don't know. I have no idea. So there's going to be 3 phases to this. First highlighting, then shading, and finally cleanup. And the cleanup will be doing things like the very sharpest edges and doing the middle ridge, which will be really bright, all of those areas, like white probably. I'm just messing that up. I'm gonna have to let it dry before I move on. And the paint on my palette is getting really wet because of it being a wet palette, but that's okay. I want to get this. See, now when I'm putting it on at the first application, it looks really solid, but then when it dries, it kind of blends into the other color, and that's good. That shows that I've chosen a subtle transitionary color, and I'm going slightly over here, but that's okay because that's an area that will later be shaded, so I don't mind. Yeah. That is pretty much I think the first highlight done. I'm gonna mix up a lighter shade here. See what I get. See if I can tell a difference here. Maybe. Like I said, I'm being conservative here at the beginning. I'm gonna have to start lightening the highlights fairly soon. But, you know, just to begin with here. And I'm wondering how many videos I'm gonna make out of this, because I have a feeling if I show the entire process, this is something that's gonna take like an hour probably, which if I stick to my limit of 20 minutes per video will mean 5 videos. So I'm thinking maybe I should cut out some portions. Unfortunately, I don't have the equipment to do something like a lot of people do videos where they will speed up the video. They'll, you know, paint for an hour and then speed it up so you can see it all in 10 minutes or something. And I can't do that. I don't have that. Well, I don't have a computer that can handle that sort of editing without overheating. So you always have to watch me paint in real time. But you get the general gist of this, I think. I'll cut here and come back when I'm ready to apply the next highlight, because I want to keep working on this color a little bit more. Be right back. Okay, sorry for being out of focus there for a while. Last video. By my calculations, I've got about 4 minutes to go if I'm going to keep this to 20 minutes. So I'm going to show you the start of the third highlight here. I've mixed up by adding more of the nacre and also a tiny amount of white into the mix. And I'm starting to highlight, well, I'm trying to sort of highlight in an oval shape or a lozenge shape, not highlight, well, this one did hit the entire facet, but I'm trying to focus it, concentrate it like in the middle here. If you can see what I'm doing here, just drawing a line down the middle. And here, just to sort of have a little bit of, well, not shade, but a lesser highlight around the brightest highlight, so it doesn't go all the way to the edges. And that looks really bright, but I'm hoping, as with all the others, that it's going to darken a bit when it dries. And yeah, it does, looking at the effect here. And why is it taking so long? I have to build these highlights up gradually with this paint. It's, as I've mentioned, very translucent, and also it's become thinned down somewhat. I haven't actually added any additives, thinner or mediums to it. Just a little bit of water, and it has absorbed a bunch of water by just being on my wet palette for a certain amount of time, of course, and that tends to water down, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine. Oh, sorry, I'm out of frame again. Damn it, but that was only for like a minute, right? And I was saying interesting things in the meantime. I'm not sure if I should. Maybe there's like a little ding in the sculpt here. I'm not sure if that's intended, but I'm gonna try to stop highlighting that and just highlight around it. That's gonna be really subtle, but that might be something, an extra little effect. This is starting to look a lot brighter, isn't it? I'm trying to look at it without my magnifiers and from a distance, and this is starting to become a highlight you can see with a naked eye. I mean, the previous ones I could only see, you know, with magnification or looking through the camera viewfinder, but this is starting to pop, which is good. This is what we want. But I'm not going to finish the highlighting in this video, apparently. We will have to continue it in the next one. Hopefully another 20 minutes will see us finish the highlights and perhaps move on to the shading. But I have to stop here for the time being. I'm trying to leave you with a good look at how far we've gotten so far. I'm not sure where the focal point is for the camera. I think it's somewhere like here. Trying to turn it in the light here so you can see how the highlights differ between the different parts of it. it's starting to take shape, I think. And you're starting to get the idea of what it's supposed to look like. But anyway, until next time, I'll probably post another video tomorrow. Till then, I'm Dakion, signing off. Bye.